In terms of human time, today is July 4th, which is Independence Day for America. And because of that, I'm going to talk about freedom. Okay, so I came across this quote maybe last month. Yeah, I think last month. And it's by Max Stirner. And the quote is, "Freedom cannot be granted, it must be taken." And it really blew open my sense of possibility because in this paradigm we're under, we ask other people for our freedom. We look to politicians to grant us freedom. And with that mentality, that means you're almost hopelessly enslaved because the whole premise of freedom is to act on your own accord. So you're not asking for freedom is completely ironic and nonsensical because that defies what freedom is. So if you're asking for it, you're inherently not free. And it's really interesting how conditioning works and how we're programmed to operate in these bubble realities or these boxes. And of course, we are more free, especially in the physical sense, than we've ever been. And things like slavery are blatant injustices to freedom because you're physically contained or physically chained. And humans have an insatiable desire towards freedom. So if you're physically enslaved, if you have physical, obvious, blatant limitations upon your freedom, people will inevitably rebel. That's why slavery has never endured. And the harder the slavery is, the more difficult it is, the more of an injustice it is, the shorter it will last because people will stand up for themselves and rebel. What the people that are enslaved will do it, and the people that are actually perpetrating that injustice to freedom will realize, some of them will realize the wrongs that they're doing. But mental mental slavery is far more insidious. So with physical slavery, it will inevitably be overturned. But with mental slavery, if it's subtle and insidious enough, it can go on indefinitely. Because if you don't know that you're in a prison, how are you ever going to free yourself? And that also reminds me of another quote. I forgot who said this, but it's like, none are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe that they are free. So, in a lot of ways, these societies that we're in, they're conditioning us to make us falsely believe that we're free. Yes, we're free physically and we're more free than most cultures, but we're not completely free. And this is done because we have these parameters on ourselves. We have parameters on freedom. And one of those parameters is just being in three-dimensional physical reality. Because ultimate freedom cannot be achieved here. We have laws of physics. We have all of these limitations that inherently come with this three-dimensional reality. And I'm of the belief that some form of us has chosen to come here. Like, it's like playing a video game. So we've chosen to play this video game. And when you choose to play a video game, you are limiting yourself. And through that limitation, you're challenging yourself and you're growing and learning through challenges. So when you're playing a video game, you're limiting yourself to certain skill sets, limiting yourself to certain environments, to certain abilities and things like that. You don't have ultimate freedom in the video game, or else it's not fulfilling and you don't learn and grow. So that's a part of it. We are sacrificing some form of freedom just to be here for the process of treating it like a video game, learning, growing, having fun, and all that good stuff. It's a challenge. And being a human on planet Earth it's playing the video game on expert level. Especially for some people who have really hard lives. And on top of those parameters that inherently come with three-dimensional reality, we have these parameters of conditioning. So the powers that be, whoever they might be, or whoever you want them to be, whether you call them the bankers or fucking reptilians or, fifth dimensional evil Teletubbies, whatever they are, there are some forces that are enforcing more parameters on us in order to limit our consciousness, in order to limit our sense of possibility. So we have additional parameters, and these are not really false, but they are manipulated parameters within the the parameters that already exist in the three-dimensional realm. So this is where like conditioning and programming comes in, because we all have these fundamental beliefs that are programmed into us, this sense of possibility. We essentially have our sense of possibility confined to a very small space. And, that's what school does, that's what the media does, that's what all of these underlying beliefs, and they're all limiting beliefs. And I'm finally breaking out of some of them, and it's really crazy and mind-blowing to see the bubbles that I was existing in before. And you don't really know until you're out of it. So the average person, let's say your average American, can look at someone who's like an extreme with religion, like a creationist Christian, or someone who's like a Scientologist. The normal person can look at that person and be like, how do you believe this? How are you so conditioned and programmed? How is the mental slavery so deep with you? How do you not see through it? And the normal person can see that because it's blatant on some level. But normal, quote unquote, normal people are conditioned in more subtle ways, and their bubbles are more subtle to perceive because we all have these limiting beliefs that are undercurrents to our reality. And I'm seeing some of those that I was in. I'm seeing a lot of those that normal people are in. And it's way more subtle, and you have to be far more in tune in order to perceive those bubbles that we're all existing in. And I guarantee there's people that look at me and they're like, oh shit, he's in that bubble too. So it's all fractal and we're always improving. And so yeah, that's humbling in and of itself. So remember that you are programmed and you are conditioned with limiting beliefs. It comes with the territory of being here, and it especially comes with the territory of growing up in modern Western culture, because we're assaulted with this stuff. We're assaulted with education being pretty much left brain dominant, regurgitating information instead of teaching us to think for ourselves, or teaching us how to clear our minds, or teaching us how to visualize and act upon that vision, or teaching us personal finance, or teaching us, empowerment and leadership. We're basically taught to be cogs in a machine instead of free-thinking, creative individuals. So that's a major part of it, and that's just one aspect of it. And a lot of things, are the undercurrents of society with fear programming in the media and limiting beliefs that we inherit from our parents, and the cycle continues. So those are all parameters that have been enforced upon us, both by ourselves and society at large, and all of that stuff. So that's a little tangent. And I can't talk about the lack of freedom without proposing a solution. So here's how to gain more freedom within this physical realm, because we're not going to be completely free being in this three-dimensional space. Like I said before, it's like a video game. So we've chosen limitation in order to challenge ourselves, in order to face obstacles, to learn, grow, evolve, and make it fulfilling. Because a video game isn't fun if you have all the cheat codes and you beat the game within 5 minutes, because it's all about the journey. It's all about developing your character, the process. So that's what makes it fulfilling. That's what makes it fun and worthwhile. So one way to expand your freedom is to expand your consciousness. So you will achieve more freedom by expanding, and when I say expanding your consciousness, that could be interchangeable with expanding your sense of possibility. So that's a way to transcend a lot of this mental slavery, because we're conditioned with so many limiting beliefs. So just thinking outside of the box will expand your sense of possibility. And then doing things like a regular meditation practice will do that as well. And reading books that challenge you, that shatter your current paradigms, help as well. And then there's things like plant medicines and things like that. Like if you do ayahuasca, if that's calling you and if plant medicine resonates with you, that will greatly expand your consciousness and your perception, because you're given this experience that would have been unfathomable to your previous self. And it's hard to put into words. So you're getting this experience that you can't explain with the current paradigm, so you inherently have to reevaluate your current paradigm and reevaluate reality. So there are many ways to expand your consciousness and expand your sense of possibility. And the other way to gain more freedom in this three-dimensional reality is to not ask for permission. It's as simple as that, because if you have to ask for permission to do things, if you're asking to be granted freedom, you're giving your power away, and you're not free. You're giving your freedom away and your power away if you're asking for permission or if you're asking for freedom. So empower yourself and act based on your own inner truth. You don't need someone else's approval, and you don't need some authority figure to tell you that you're free, because freedom is your birthright. So find that inner truth and have conviction and have faith in your inner truth, and walk, run with empowerment. And you don't need permission from anyone to do that. And if you really have a sense of self-mastery and you know your inner truth, it's not going to be something that's going to cause harm to yourself or others. So don't worry about that aspect of it, because your inner truth, if you're truly in alignment with it and truly harmonized with it, it's going to be something that's beneficial both to yourself and the whole. So you don't need permission to do that, to act based upon your inner truth. All right, so that's all I got for today. Peace, much love, and one love, baby.